So hours before the search in the middle of last night, our chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt sat down with Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos on the latest details of the investigation. Here is part of their exchange on working with the FBI on the recently found glove, the DNA found inside Nancy's home, and criticisms of the investigation.
That evidence that you speak of, a glove, was found several days later, maybe a couple of days ago. And the FBI said, hey, we got this glove we found, we'll submit it for our lab for DNA. I said, no, guys, let's put it to our lab. Why would you do that? Because our lab has all the markers of those people that we want. If it's your home, when we're checking for a burglar, we're going to go in and do all the stuff we can to collect biological evidence. But then we start eliminating things, doing what we call elimination of markers. Your marker. We'd get your swab, we'd get your kids, your wife, your housekeeper, your yard man, whatever it is. All those things are at my lab. And they were there at the start of this. So it only makes sense. And then we do another scene, we do another search warrant. All that goes to our lab.
Do you believe you found the DNA of the perpetrator inside the house? Do you believe that at this point?
What I believe is, what I know is, we found DNA. And
that was not Nancy Guthrie's DNA?
That was not Nancy Guthrie's DNA.
Was there a sign of a violent struggle inside the home?
I'm not going to talk to what's inside that home.
Two more questions.
What do you say to those people who are frustrated out there? You've talked at your press conferences, you've talked openly about Monday morning quarterbacking, armchair critics. What do you say to those people who are just frustrated, as I'm sure you are?
Well, sure, but and I get their frustration, but let me say this to those people. They've been of help too. A lot of those people have given us leads. I can't worry about the naysayers or the haters are going to hate. You don't like Chris Nanos, or he won an election, or you don't like all that stuff. There's plenty of time to do that afterwards. Right now, our focus is we want to find Nancy.
How did the perpetrator get inside? There's no damage on the front door that is visible to us.
Again,
sliding back door?
You're asking questions that I'm just not going to share with you. I'm sorry.
Former Las Vegas police officer Randy Sutton joins us now from Tucson. Randy, I was speaking to you in the middle of the night. We thought that there were big developments, and it seems that nothing has come of it. So where do we go from here?
Well, let's hope that they have developed some further information for where this investigation goes next. The frustration that we had yesterday was everyone was very excited that this new development took place, and that the search warrants were being served. But unfortunately, it appears that no one was taken into custody, which means that this investigation will continue. Now, here's the issue. I listened to the sheriff's press conference, and he has a right and a reason not to tell certain details about this crime, and that's exactly what he should be doing. On the other hand, his communication about what has taken place, basically since last night, where I've heard every conspiracy theory in the world since I've been here, including, some really bizarre stuff. Well, why does that happen? It happens because the leadership here isn't coming forth with anything. Last night at about 1 o'clock in the morning, while we're all waiting for some news from the sheriff, he comes out and he says that he's not going to do a press conference, which of course we knew then that there wasn't anything really dramatic, but he said he would be issuing a statement. Well, then he issued a statement that said he wasn't going to make a statement. I got to tell you, John, I've really never seen anything quite like it. The people of this city are very frustrated. I literally had people come up to me this afternoon who recognized me from our Fox News work here, and really unloaded on me with their frustrations about not getting any information and their lack of confidence in the sheriff. Now, I can tell you this. These officers that are working here are dedicated. They are working 24/7. They're coming in off of vacation. They're not taking days off. They are very, very committed to the people of this community. It is not the officers. It is the leadership that I'm afraid has created a vacuum here. And then, of course, let's look at the FBI's involvement. They are working side by side with the Sheriff's Department, but we haven't heard anything from the SAC, the Special Agent in Command of the regional office here either. So it's time for somebody to step up and really communicate. Even if the news isn't good, give us something so that we can understand what is going on.
Viewers, that just a couple of years ago, when they were searching for the killer of those 4 Idaho college students, that case went a month, and there seemed to be dead ends everywhere. There was criticism of the local authorities. They're saying, "Come on, you should have made an arrest by now." And it turned out that they had Bryan Kohberger under surveillance all along, and effected his arrest about a month after the crime. So that kind of thing could be going on here. We're just not hearing about it.
No, you're absolutely right. And remember, there is an incredible amount of leads that have come in, and there's no way to sift through them, very, very quickly. You have to triage the information that comes in, and then examine it, and then categorize which ones are the most important to deal with. But there's not unlimited manpower here. They're using all of the officers that are here in the Sheriff's Department, plus the FBI has provided hundreds of agents. So it is a tremendous effort, but still it is a massive amount of work. Plus then you have the evidence collection that probably still hasn't come in from some of the digital evidence, some of the DNA evidence, some of the they're still trying to get more video from some of the internal cameras that were there, plus the security cameras all over the area here. So this is really a massive undertaking. And you're right, just as in Coalmire, people are impatient. We expect it's going to be like TV, as we're going to be watching the first 48, and we're going to get the crime solved. Well, that isn't reality. We've seen murders, we've seen rapes, we've seen kidnappings that don't. It is a long slog. And right now, they are deep in the investigative process, and this is gumshoe detective work 101 here. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of time, and then we pray for the return of Nancy Guthrie.
Yeah, and even the President of the United States got involved a few days ago, saying he expected to see something very soon, as if he had knowledge of perhaps an arrest or some information coming out, and so far, no arrests. Former Las Vegas police officer Randy Sutton, thank you.
According to the exchange shown on air, investigators have located DNA inside Nancy Guthrie's home that the sheriff says is not Nancy Guthrie's DNA. That's the kind of detail that immediately catches public attention, because people naturally wonder, does it point to a suspect, or could it be something unrelated? At the same time, the segment highlights a second storyline that often follows major cases: frustration with limited information, criticism of leadership communication, and the pressure that builds when there's no quick arrest. This matters because it's not just about one case. It's also about the public's trust in investigations, trust that can either help by encouraging useful tips or hurt by fueling confusion and distraction. From the sheriff's comments, here's what's clearly stated. First, DNA was found, and the sheriff confirms it is not Nancy Guthrie's. He does not confirm whether it belongs to a perpetrator, and he declines to discuss what exactly was found inside the home beyond that. Second, there's debate over where evidence should be processed. A question is raised about a glove discovered days later and why it might be sent for DNA testing rather than handled entirely through the county lab. The sheriff argues their lab already has elimination samples, meaning DNA profiles from household members or people who legitimately might have been in the environment, so they can compare and rule out innocent sources more efficiently. Third, there's an emphasis that law enforcement is continuing to work the case, including cooperation with the FBI. But the segment also includes a former police officer, Randy Sutton, criticizing the public communication approach, saying a lack of updates can create an information vacuum where speculation flourishes. If you're an average viewer, it's easy to feel pulled in two directions at once. On one hand, hearing "we found DNA that isn't hers" sounds like a major break. Many people would instinctively think, okay, so they must be close. And when that doesn't quickly lead to an arrest, disappointment and doubt can set in. On the other hand, most people also understand, at least in theory, that investigators can't share everything in real time. If they reveal too much, they might scare off a suspect, compromise witness cooperation, or contaminate future interviews. So the emotional center of this story, as presented, is that tension between the public wanting clarity and investigators needing discretion. One viewpoint is sympathetic to law enforcement. The segment itself notes the scale of the work, sorting through leads, collecting video, processing digital evidence, and handling DNA results. The argument here is simple. Investigations are rarely as fast as TV makes them look, and patience is necessary. Another viewpoint is focused on transparency and leadership. The criticism raised is not that officers aren't working hard, but that unclear or minimal communication can unintentionally encourage speculation. In that reading, even small, careful updates, without sensitive details, can help steady a community. A third perspective is caution about interpreting forensic clues. DNA that isn't hers doesn't automatically equal the perpetrator's. Homes can contain DNA from many legitimate sources, depending on visitors, service workers, previous contacts, or older traces. The sheriff's refusal to characterize what the DNA means may frustrate people, but it also avoids jumping to conclusions. The positive sign here is that investigators appear to be actively working leads and coordinating with federal partners, and they've acknowledged public frustration while asking for focus on the mission, finding Nancy and identifying the perpetrator. The concern is that communication gaps, fair or not, can erode confidence. And when confidence drops, it can make the whole environment noisier. More rumors, more accusations, and more pressure on investigators to perform publicly rather than methodically. Both things can be true at the same time. Investigators may be doing careful work, and the public may still reasonably want clearer, steadier information. What stands out most in this segment is how quickly a case can become two stories: the search itself and the debate over how that search is managed. According to the sheriff, there is non-victim DNA evidence, and according to critics in the report, there's a real communication problem that's feeding frustration. For viewers, the most responsible place to land may be somewhere in the middle. Stay attentive to verified updates, resist filling in blanks with assumptions, and recognize that investigative silence can sometimes mean strategy, not failure. At the same time, it's fair for a worried community to ask leaders to communicate clearly, even if the message is simply, "We're working, here's what we can safely confirm, and here's what we can't." In the end, people want the same thing: answers, and most importantly, Nancy's safe return.